What's good, y'all? I've got some cool buffs and changes and reworks for my boy Typhlosion. Personally, I think Typhlosion's kind of a boring design, but y'all not ready for that conversation. I will explain the type choice in a bit. I'll explain the mixed attacking stuff. I'll explain the speed drop, all that stuff. I promise I'll get to it. All the crazy moves that you see on your screen. I'll address all of that in just a second, but before I get into any of that stuff, stick around for the later part of the video. But I need a disclaimer for any new viewers because this is obviously going to seem like an overwhelming amount of information if you're new here. So I recommend you pause the video and read the description. I've got a bullet point list that explains all of the things about this ROM hack. Like obviously it's a abbreviated form, but it's a short. It's like a bullet point, easy, kind of spark notes of the basics of the ROM hack and the way I balanced it. So give a lot of read. And then I also recommend you pause the video, not pause the video, sorry, when you're done with the video, I recommend you go to the move guide on the Google Sheet link down below. Don't click off yet because it'll mess up my watch time, but you can check out all the move guide, all the moves on the move guide. All these categories are super important because the moves and the reworks I've made to those moves are literally the entire foundation of the ROM hack. So give that a little read when you're done. Very important stuff. And with all that being said, I appreciate you clicking on the video. Make sure you drop a like, sub. I just hit 1,800, so I appreciate y'all for that. Let's keep that number going up. Make sure y'all share the video, all that good stuff. It helps with the algorithm. Drop a comment, like. But yeah, Typhlosion. So Fireground, I will address it now. I actually don't like this type change. It's one of the few type changes that I'm putting in because I don't like it, but it's just there because it matches the others of the trio. So there's a couple other situations like this that I'm going to do something like this. The Lake Trio, the Legendary Beasts from Gen 2, stuff like that, where 2 out of 3 of them fit dual type pretty damn well, but then one of them is just kind of like, okay, I guess I'll throw on one that kind of makes sense. Like, it makes enough sense. He's the Volcano Pokemon, right? And volcanoes are obviously, camera up. Other volcano Pokemon are associated with the ground. Um, and he's like a bear badger type of guy. They like dig in the ground, whatever. It's a reach, and I acknowledge that it's a reach, but I mean, the ground is kind of a thematically like vague type anyway. And again, it would bother me a lot if he was the only non-dual type of the trio, especially when they all were pure type before. You can argue, and I would Gen 2 fits pure type fine. Giving them not pure type is more of like a buff, like ROM hack centric perspective, where it's like I want to make the Pokemon feel more unique and fun to use. And nothing wrong with pure types inherently, especially if it makes a lot of sense. But I think you can definitely stretch. I think Fairy makes a lot of sense for Meganium, and Gator makes enough sense to be a dark. Or some of the people be like, oh, Dragon, oh, fighting, whatever. Sure, man, something fits Gator is the point. Typhlosion is the odd one out though. No dual type really fits him, and I swear to God, if somebody comments some bullshit about normal type, whatever. I don't want to hark on the type change too much, alright? Because it's not actually the main cool thing here. You can get Fire Ground Typhlosion or any other ROM hack nowadays. That's not unique. What is unique is the all the cool moves here, the ability choices, the extra bulk, all that good stuff, and the fact that he's a mixed attacker now. So I did drop speed mostly because for 2 reasons. Number one, I wanted them to be like pretty tanky and still be a mixed attacker, and number two, they just don't really make much sense to be that fast. Like Charizard having 100 base speed, sure, he flies, whatever, I guess that's fine. But like Typhlosion, like this guy has no business having 100 base speed to me. I don't know, it just doesn't make much sense to me. And a big thing is that if you're using Typhlosion for speed, you're running Choice Scarf or Flame Wheel every time, or Trailblaze. Trailblaze and Flame Wheel, those are about the same thing, although Flame Wheel is 60 power. But yeah, Flame Wheel gives you speed now, right? So what that means is, it's just, God, like, it's such an overwhelmingly like, 100 base speed versus 85 speed. 85 base speed is hitting 126 base speed if with a Choice Scarf, right? Because the AI is getting guaranteed plus speed nature and 31 IVs, while the player doesn't get only 20% of the time you're getting a speed boosting nature. So that's really good. Because running a Choice Scarf, you're outspeeding all those Pokemon, and then if you're running Flame Wheel, you outspeed them as well. So it doesn't really make that much of a difference, 100 base speed versus 85, because either way you're gonna have to run Scarf most of the time anyway, or what's it called? Some other thing. And this isn't competitive where you have to deal with crazy fast speed tiers, right? And most of the time, 125 would be like the upper limit of what you're gonna have to outspeed on the AI's team. Obviously, there'll be some exceptions. There'll be some faster Pokemon once in a while. Maybe they'll boost their speed up, but the point is most of the time it's not really relevant. And any extra speed is kind of overkill anyway. And I just think it makes more sense for his design to be a little bit bulkier and be more of a mixed attacker and also be stronger. So ability-wise, he's got 3 sick offensive boosting abilities. Guts is really cool. Might seem the most underwhelming of the 3, but Guts synergizes very well with Flame Wheel specifically because Hubris and Berserk are conditional boosts. Guts is as well. I mean, if I'm being super real, yes, like Guts is kind of worse on paper than the other two because Hubris is really good for snowballing with Flame Wheel or Choice Scarf, and then Berserk is like very good with Endure Berry strats like Endure Salakberry Berserk. Belch is sick on this guy too. Belch now gives +1 special attack, so you can do like Endure Endure Salakberry Belch with Hubris or Berserk, either one. And you can like snowball really good with Belch, especially if you got like Terra Poison, that'd be sick. Especially because Terra Poison gives you extra bulk with Black Sludge and stuff. But anyway, yeah, Terra Poison would be pretty cool for that stab Belch, and in general, it's just a good move to boost your stats. But the main caveat here with the physical Typhlosion thing is that I've given him physical moves incredibly early on. Superpower, 140 power move, -2 attack at level 38. Blazing Assault, same thing as Superpower, but Fire type, level 40. That's insanely early for 90. Like, it's so early, man. Most of those moves, mostly Pokemon only tend to get those at like level 50, 55, 60, which is, that's like a pretty significant, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 boss fight gap, or even more, So, yeah, getting those super early is cool. Also, if you're curious and you haven't looked at the screen yet, you can pause the video and look at Hisuian Typhlosion right here. I also have a video, 15 minutes, explaining Typhlosion as well, Hisuian Typhlosion, and their unique traits, so give that a look. But yeah, back on the topic of Typhlosion, yeah, Berserk is sick, and obviously they all make perfect sense, all three of these abilities. Guts makes incredible, great sense with Typhlosion's whole design and vibe going on. He's gutsy, he's like ballsy, angry, whatever. And then Berserk is awesome because he gets super angry and he shimmers and whatever. He shimmers when he makes explosions, his rage peaks, whatever. He's like a very rageful Pokemon. Very angry Pokemon, right? And then Hubris is the same thing, similar concept, right? And that's obviously great. I mean, that's not even an original idea. Fucking ROM hacks and Fangas have been given Typhlosion Special Moxie for years now. So that's not an original concept or anything, but it is very good. And a really unique thing here is that he has signature. So not only does he get the physical moves earlier, right? Flare Blitz at 45 with Guts and Flame Wheel is great, stuff like that. Precipice Blaze at 47 is a 120 power ground move that always burns, essentially, and with no drawbacks, so you can't miss nothing. So that's awesome. He also has other guaranteed burn options in Lava Plume, Burn Up, and Will-O-Wisp, and Precipice Blades and Land's Wrath. However, there is a third, a huge level gap between Precipice Blades and Land's Wrath, because Land's Wrath is great with Berserk and Hubris, and it comes off of as much, his significantly higher special attack stat. But again, I just really like, and also another benefit of physical sets is that he has a lot more coverage on the physical side. Stuff like Wild Charge, Thunderfang, Rock moves, Electric moves, even some Bug moves, Steel moves, whatever. On the special side, his only coverage is Dark Pulse. Not that he needs much, but it's Dark Pulse, Focus Blast, which is not really ever being clicked unless you have Wide Lens. So it's mostly just Dark Pulse. That's like your only consistent, and Scorching Sands isn't the stab now, I lied. Dismal Cry, Disarming Voice, low base power moves, Weather Ball, Terrain Pulse, Situational, whatever. So you get the point. Terra Blast obviously is good for special sets, obviously. I mean, it's good for both sets, but Terra Blast, you can't guarantee the Terra type you get in this game. It's supposed to be randomized. So yeah, point is physical has much more coverage. You got tons of fighting moves, fairy moves, electric moves, dark moves, tons of strong physical moves. Especially on the level up side, you get tons of strong physical moves early. So that's to encourage you to use physical Guts, mixed Typhlosion for a bit. Obviously, once you get towards the very end of the game, there's very little incentive to use it. It's still there. You can still do it. Especially, for example, with Movie Learner, the sky's the limit, right? You don't have to dedicate yourself to one set. So with Movie Learner, you can run like a physical Typhlosion even in the end game if you need to one-shot a Pokemon with like low Fizz Def and high Spidef, for example. So, even stuff like Temper Flare is great with Guts. Temper Flare is even better, arguably, because Flare Blitz gives recoil, which will stack with the Toxic Orb recoil, which is counterintuitive, but Temper Flare is the same power as Flare Blitz. However, the downside for Temper Flare is it can't be used twice in a row. Wildfire is the same thing. The downside with Wildfire is that you can't use like Scarf Hubris with Wildfire. You can't. You have to switch out, so you can't snowball with it. Meanwhile, with Overheat and Flamethrower and stuff, you can. Overheat is now a recoil move, if you're wondering. So Overheat is special Flare Blitz. So that's really good with Hubris. That's why it's so late. Obviously, Eruption is incredible. Land's Wrath is incredible. It's just a consistent 120 power ground move. Earthquake and Earth Power are both 100, so that's like already consistent, but you have extra 120 power Precipice Blades and Land's Wrath on top of the burn utility, although the burn is more of a niche thing. Ideally, when you're clicking these moves, you're one-shotting things. I would say these burning effects is more relevant for bulkier Pokemon. I mean, Typhlosion is tanky. 93, 80, 80 is bulky. You could use it in a bulky set. You totally could with Movie Learner and, Teamlocked and Nuzlocked playstyle. You have Morning Sun and burning moves. It's just more niche. Meanwhile, the AI of using, guaranteed burn, Precipice Blades, Land's Wrath against you is much scarier. So yeah. That's pretty much it, man. I don't know what else to say. Burn Up is obviously really cool. It removes your fire typing and it makes you pure ground, which is pretty cool for some, interactions. Like if you want to click it on a, I don't know, a fucking mon that's about to earthquake you or whatever. You burn them, and then you're not weak to fire ground anymore. Now you're taking like very little damage from that move, right? So stuff like that is really cool. Burn Up is sick on them. I love the flavor of it and the concept of it. Howl is pretty okay. I would say the best use of Howl was with Guts. Flame Wheel, Howl, Guts, stuff like that is pretty decent. Or just Flame Wheel Howl in general with Hubris maybe could be pretty good. I would say it's kind of overkill. I wouldn't even bother with setup. It's just there for flavor because Typhlosion normally gets Howl and it makes sense for him. So yeah, Blast Burn, that is what Overheat used to be. It's special Draco Meteor, fire type Draco Meteor. Excuse me. That's about it, man. I don't know what else to say. It's a very straightforward Pokemon. All three of its abilities are offensive, boosting ones. It can be used defensively. It has some good utility moves and good bulk and stuff. And as for the pre-evolutions, Cyndaquil has that Wimp Out, which makes sense if you read the decks. It talks about like running away, if it's surprise, it's timid. All the decks says it's timid, right? It's timid. So that's why I gave it Wimp Out. And then it gets Guts as it evolves because Quilava becomes more confident and more aggressive. It's like it intimidates foes with intense gust of flames. Be careful, all this stuff about like intimidating and being imposing. Speaking of, I did want to give them Intimidate at some point, but you have to keep in mind I have to balance this around other fire ground types like Entei and Camerupt. So yeah, I have to not to give them Intimidate and to keep it for Entei instead, because it makes more sense on Entei. Although it would be cool on Typhlosion too. So yeah. Thanks for listening. Anything else I want to touch on at the very end? Again, Zooey and Typhlosion has their own video. Quilava's strong, right? Like 68 attack with Guts is very strong. Even I didn't really cover the base attack equivalent, yeah. So 93 base attack with Guts is hitting it's strong, man. So you're hitting 411 not base, sorry. You're hitting like 138 base attack. Yeah, 138 base attack is what your attack equivalent is. So your attack with Guts is 20 points higher than your special attack. So despite looking like it's weaker on the physical side, it's actually stronger with Guts. However, Berserk and Hubris also give you the same boost, +1, right? So yeah, you have to keep that all in mind. Terra Normal would be pretty cool with like quick attack and Facade. That'd be pretty sick. Giga Impact, all that stuff is pretty cool with Guts. And Terra Normal Double Edge at level 25. That's very, very strong. Headbutt even early on, stuff like that is cool. So Pyro Dash is also good with Guts. That's just fire type quick attack, so that's really nice for those Guts sets. And obviously Ignite is good for the Hubris and Berserk sets. Quilava Flash Fire is useful. It's just nice to have that immunity and to get that boost to your fire moves. While Blaze is nice for like Endure, Patire. It's kind of similar to Berserk in the Endure sense, where like you get the boost from clicking Endure or just knocking yourself into that range in general. And then Blaze type abilities are very strong in an in-game context. Like very easy to abuse. 50% boost is very strong. So yeah, Blaze is great. Flash Fire is great. Guts is great. I mean, Quilava's solid, fast, strong, decent bulk for that point in the game at least. Flame Wheel's good. Very early on too. Flame Wheel level 16 is very fun with Guts, so you can definitely take advantage of like early on Toxic Orb, Flame Wheel, Guts. Even if you don't use it much on Typhlosion past like the mid 40s, you can still abuse it on Quilava for the mid game, so that's fun. Because again, I'll show the 68 base attack equivalent. So 68 base attack with Guts is 336, which is like over 100. Yeah, 105. Yeah, like 103-ish base attack. So your attack is 103-ish while your special attack is 94. So it's not as big of a gap as Typhlosion's attack and special attack with Guts, but it's still pretty significantly higher. So yeah, thanks for listening. A couple other small things I could touch on, like coverage moves and all this other fun stuff. Even Grass Knot, for example, by the way, in regards to the physical versus special coverage debacle I was talking about, even Grass Knot is physical now, so they don't get any special grass move other than Solar Beam. So yeah. Also, as for why I didn't give them Drought, same thing. It's because if it's Entei and Camerupt, if it's Camerupt and Entei a lot more. So yeah, thanks for listening. If you made it to the end of the video, drop a comment. I really do appreciate it, like a lot. So let me know who you are, and I'll be back for more coming up, y'all. Make sure you drop a like, sub, all that good stuff. Peace.